Okay, this is Dr. Jin Sung and welcome back to week 14. This is the Dr. Jin Sung show and we're going to be going over the liver detoxification phase 1. So last week, if you go back and watch the previous week's video, we talked about the different symptoms, what can create problems in the liver, went over some physiology and so forth. So today we're going to be a little bit more specific and look at the different phases of care or different phases of liver detox. So phase 1 detoxification is this. It takes things that are fat soluble, toxin loads, and it makes it more water soluble so it can be excreted out easier in the liver. So things that can affect phase 1 detoxification are things like medications or drugs, right? Alcohol can certainly affect liver detoxification, as well as pesticides, herbicides, artificial colors in foods, and sulfur drugs. So these types of things can create issues in terms of detoxification, or it can stress the detoxification phase. So phase 1 is basically using an enzyme called a cytochrome P450, right? Cytochrome P450. And it goes through a lot of different processes to make the fat-soluble toxins or fat-soluble load of the medications and the pesticides, herbicides, and those types of things. It makes it more water-soluble, or makes it easier for excretion into the phase 2 of liver detoxification. So when we look at it, we think about things like oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, and dehalogenation. And these are kind of fancy terms for basically some metabolic processes from phase 1 to phase 2 that makes it a little bit easier. So phase 1 detoxification, how do we know if we have a problem in phase 1 detoxification? So if you are a coffee drinker and you drink, like, let's say a quarter cup, you drank a quarter cup in the morning and you have a hard time falling asleep in the evening, right? You drank just a little bit and you just wired and you just can't go to bed. That can indicate that you are a very slow phase 1 detoxer. So you have a hard time converting that boost of caffeine and making it more water soluble for excretion. So it'll keep you up and it'll make you feel like, oh, I can never drink coffee again, right? And then you have, if you drank, let's say, 2 or 3 cups of coffee sometime before dinner, and you go right to bed, it's no problem. You don't have any problem sleeping. There's no issues with the adrenal production with the caffeine. Then your phase 2 might be overactive, or phase 1 might be overactive. So if you drink a little caffeine, it keeps you up. Your phase 1 is slow. If you drink a bunch of caffeine sometime before bed and you go right to sleep and it's not a problem, your phase 2 might be a little bit phase 1 might be a little bit overactive. And that can be problematic in itself because the intermediary metabolites from phase 1 to phase 2 will build up, and that in itself can be toxic for our body if it's staying there for too long, right? So we're looking at phase 1, and what are some of the things we can do to help phase 1? One, you shouldn't eat things like charcoal burned foods, right? All that burning and the crusting or the caramelization and the dark crispy portions of the meat that everybody loves. That's not the best thing to do for yourself. Also, excessive protein. A lot of times these bodybuilders or young kids are working out and they think they just need a lot of protein. They just drink this, and it might be slowing down their detoxification for some of them. Also, saturated fats can be problems for these people. When we look at nutrients and vitamins, what do we need in terms of liver detoxification in the phase 1 of the liver? Certainly B vitamins are necessary. Now there's B vitamins from 1 all the way up to 12. There are a lot of fancy names in there. One of the important ones is B9 or folic acid. And we recommend those for patients who get pregnant to prevent neural defects. But there are different forms of B vitamins in the B9. So it's not just folic acid. There's folinic acid, methylfolate, especially if you have a genetic defect in the MTHFR gene. So there's a lot of different B vitamins that are necessary for the phase 1 detoxification. And if you have genetic defects, or if you're taking poor quality B vitamins, it's not going to be as effective as if you took something more specific to your individual need, right? So B vitamins are very important. Glutathione is very important, and we talked about that previously, using glutathione precursors, glutathione suppositories, or using coffee enemas to boost glutathione in our system. Also, taking an ice-cold shower will improve glutathione levels. So glutathione is a very important antioxidant in our system, produced in the liver, and you want to maximize that antioxidant, glutathione, because it takes the brunt of a lot of the oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can be physical, emotional, chemical, whatever it is. So it becomes like a bulletproof vest almost, right? You're wearing antioxidants called glutathione right here, and you get glows from all over, right? Your physical stress, emotional stress, food stress, chemical stress, whatever it is. It takes the brunt of the blow, right? So it affects you, but not to the point where if you didn't have a bulletproof vest. So the glutathione is your protective barrier to a lot of the oxidative stress. Okay, so antioxidants are very important in this process. Milk thistle is also very important for liver detoxification. Vitamin E, vitamin C, and if you're iron deficient, iron is very important, because when you look at the metabolism of cytochrome P54, 450, cytochrome P450, you need heme, or basically iron, because you need to carry oxygen for a lot of these processes. So the nutritional recommendations would be the B vitamins, very important, glutathione, antioxidants, milk, thistle, vitamin E, vitamin C, iron if you need it, especially if you're iron deficient. Okay. Some vegetables that are very good for detoxification are cruciferous vegetables. Oranges can be beneficial, tangerines, and the right amount of protein, not too much protein. You need to have the right amount of protein for you. And it really depends on your body weight, how much you actually work out. I see people work out, they come to the gym, and they're here for, let's say, an hour and a half at the gym, right? And but they only work out really 30 minutes, and the other hour is spent chit-chatting, and they think they can work out. They think they're working out for an hour, yet or an hour and a half, yet they're only really working out 30 minutes. And do we really need as much protein as they're taking in with their protein drinks and protein mixes? And then I gotta have like 2 chicken breasts, and then I gotta have this, and they just overload on protein, and maybe that's not necessary for some patients. So it's very important to have the right amount of protein, and it's really individualized. So don't overdo it with that. Heavy veggies is pretty important for the liver detox. Coffee enemas would be great for liver detox. If you're going to do what we call a liver flush, there is something called a Mort's liver cleanse. I would caution against it if you do not know anything about it, just because it can create some problems for some people, especially with the gallbladder. So it's very important if you have like gallstones and those types of things, is not to do a liver flush. What you need to do is a nutrient-dense liver detoxification. So we have a process in our office where we use some protein powders along with all the necessary nutrients that takes you from phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 liver detoxification. And it takes you kind of step by step, and then it opens up the pathway. But if you want to do some things on your own, you can look at some of the nutrients that we just mentioned in some foods, and and do's and don'ts, okay? Obviously, it starts with avoiding these chemicals and toxins and herbicides and pesticides as best you can to help decrease the stress of the liver. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching last week. We had over 13 or 14,000 views, which is great. Please go ahead and share this video and ask any questions on the video below, and we'll go ahead and we'll do our best to answer those questions. Next week, we're going to talk about phase 2 liver detoxification. So this week we talked about phase 1. We'll try to combine it and segue right into phase 2 and talk about the necessary components of that. So we'll see you back next week. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the healthy side. Take care.